Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Hello, friends, and welcome to a Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Friday. We made it to Friday. We're going to have JC, and then we're going to talk to Steve Melnyk, former pro golfer from the University of Florida, Hall of Famer, also a national champion here. Get his thoughts on the Masters and his career. He was very, very close to the head ball coach. They were ATO brothers back in the day, back in the 60s here at UF. But in the meantime, let's go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by JC. Good morning, JC. What's happening?
Hey, man. How you doing there, QB Friday? It's Friday Fun Day, round 2 of the Masters, and it looks pretty some really funny things happened yesterday in that first round. How much did you get to watch of that there yesterday?
I watched a lot of it. The great thing about the Masters on Thursday and Friday is no matter what you're doing during the day, ESPN is going to rerun their coverage at night. So, I was thinking about this yesterday watching, when we were growing up, and even, I guess, probably 10 years ago, nobody ever got to see what the front 9 at Augusta National looked like. They would not televise it.
Nope, that's right. Yep, they sure didn't. And they certainly didn't televise a whole round, which of course is the front 9. And you basically waited until 4:00 on Sunday when CBS picked up coverage to watch the back 9 of the Masters, which was pretty much all you got. And I sure am glad they've obviously had to do some things to make the coverage different, because the front 9 is awesome, man. I mean, especially if you walk into that place for the first time ever and you see just how dramatic that slope is on number 1, and you say to yourself, wow, this is a hilly place. It's gorgeous, but it's really, TV does it no justice if you get a chance to see it by being there in person. And I had the opportunity in the early part of this century here in the early 2000s to go to some practice rounds on multiple years. And man, I just loved walking around the place. I didn't even really care. I was more excited about being at the practice rounds, just seeing these players up close and looking at this property without all the massive gallery than the actual round itself, which I liked watching on TV more, because on TV you see more things. And if you're walking around during the actual competition, you might miss something. So I liked the practice rounds. Some folks like watching the actual competition, but to me, it was just looking at the place that really got me excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one that enjoys going to golf tournaments because you really can't see what's going on in the entire tournament, because you have to watch either one hole or follow one group. But if any of our listeners and viewers have an opportunity to ever go to Augusta National, it's the prettiest piece of land you'll ever see. I mean, it's unbelievable how nice it is.
It's kept up immaculately. And, they've done so many changes to the place, but it always looks perfect when this tournament is being held. And we've had a treat, because the last time it was held was November. So we've seen now golf at Augusta in 6 months, twice. So, we missed it last April because of Corona. They pushed it back, had it in November. We saw it then. And then here we are 6 months later watching it again at the regular time. Yesterday was one of those days, though. We'll get to Justin Rose in a second, though. But did you see Rory McIlroy hit his dad with a shot? He hit his dad with a shot, and then I saw a guy putt a ball, Shane Lowry, off the green. He was putting for eagle, and it went off the green into a lake. I think that was
15.
15, yeah.
There were two guys that did that, and then it's no different than March Madness. You hit a miraculous shot to advance. It's same way in golf. Like Justin Rose shoots 7 under par yesterday. He's 2 over going into hole 8. It's a par 5.
Yeah.
He kind of rope hooks his 3-wood, but he gets a perfect bounce off a mound that kicks it straight to the hole. He makes eagle. Now he's even par, and then he shoots lights out. Jordan Spieth on hole 15, as you were mentioned, was chipping for eagle behind the hole, behind the green. and hits a good chip, but it is screaming, hits the pin and goes in for eagle. It was definitely in the water. That's a 3-shot swing right there.
That's
so
right.
it's crazy how just and the thing about JC, we all play a lot of golf, and us average golfers, we just want to hit greens. Doesn't matter if the pin's way over here, back left corner. We don't want to hit the green.
That's not
At Augusta National. Right. If you watched yesterday, that's why these guys are so good. I heard Justin Rose on 17. The pin was snuck front right about 5 paces from the bunker, and he said he had 140 to clear the bunker. The pin was like 143. Okay, I mean it's crazy the calculations. So what he said was, I knew I had to hit my wedge, which is my 140, but if I just drew it just a little, I could get an extra 2 yards. And I'll be damned, he almost made it. It's crazy how these guys are so specific with every yardage and every shot they hit.
It's true. And then, you add that to where at Augusta, you literally have to know where to hit it on these greens. And that just comes with experience. It's why I'm so impressed when a guy who's young or who plays it for the first or second time may do really well, even though he's probably practiced well before he played that round. At Augusta, you have to know where to hit the ball. And so I think, with the hard, fast greens that we're going to see this weekend, I think Rose may have a chance to come back to the field a little bit. At least I hope he does, because if he shoots 4 or 5 under today and he's 11 or 12 under, there's nobody even remotely close. You're going to need somebody to shoot 64 just to get near the guy. And I don't think that's going to happen with these greens and how fast things can get.
Yeah, I think they're talking about a little bit of rain. I hope not. I want it to stay fast. We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line. It says, "Happy Friday, fellas." Shane, how about your boy Bern Wiesberger punting for eagle on 15 and rolling it in the drink that went from amen to son of a bleep in a hurry? Eagle putt to par putt for the exact same spot. Don't see that every day. Have a masterful weekend later, Ryan. Appreciate the text, Ryan. Yeah, that's what we were referring to. JC, you're talking about the practice rounds. I was thinking about this the other day. What if the PGA Tour didn't allow you to go practice on the golf course? Now, you could come to the event, whatever course you're playing. You could hit on the driving range, the chipping, but you weren't allowed to go out and see the lay of the land. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, it would be. And I mean, they tell the caddies where the pins are going to be 4 days in advance. So they all can strategize how they're going to attack these holes, specifically each hole. But if they had to play it blind, like everyone else has to do, like when you play football, the field is going to be the same dimension wherever you go, but you also don't know, what the weather could be like potentially and things like this. And maybe you do plan and you game plan prior to when you play. And in golf, that's the same kind of thing. But when they tell you where the pins are going to be, it really helps. And so,
I mean, most of these guys, when you're on tour, you've played all the courses that you're going to play during the year. So I was just thinking about that the other day. Now, obviously, they couldn't put a brand new golf course on the tour and say you can't go practice. I mean, a prime example would be a course like Marsh Creek that it's a lot of layups. And if you hit a drive and it goes into a lake on the other side of the fairway, that would be fair. But I just thought it would be interesting how these guys would play if they just had to show up and never saw the golf course.
Yeah, no, I think that's a interesting thought. I wish that the Augusta folks would let the rough grow a little bit. Now, it's hard enough as it is, and you rarely see 6 birdies and 9 holes on the back when the greens are as fast as they were yesterday. But you hit it on the second cut, it's just as good a lie, basically, for some guys, for many of these guys. The course is so immaculate. But it is what it is. I think if you said, yeah, you guys, we're just going to throw you out there and you're going to have no preparatory time out there, but you could go practice, of course, on the practice facility. It could be tougher. I would say it'd have to be tougher. Yeah.
Yeah. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. April is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC here on the Titan hotline.
Am I right about that? In that they tell the caddies and the players where the pins are going to be? They do.
Yeah, they know exactly where the pins are. Yeah.
I mean, but so they know where it's going to be on Friday, Saturday, and then of course the Sunday pin placement. Is that right?
I don't know if they know exactly where they're going to be before the tournament starts. Like today, though, when they show up, they're going to get a pin sheet.
They're going to get the card.
They may already have that. But if you watch the practice rounds, you see how those guys go to different portions of the green, because it's like every year, you know where the pin's going to be on 16 on Sunday.
Okay.
You know where the pin's going to be on Sunday on 12. So they know they go put a tee down and they putt in those areas to find out the break.
Right.
And the
I saw that during the practice rounds. Yeah, I did notice that during the practice rounds. They would do that. Yeah.
But anyway, I like to see those guys struggle. But obviously, Justin Rose played very, very well yesterday.
Well, we'll see how he does today.
I think the best any of our golfers did. I think I got a couple at even par. You may have a couple at 1 over.
Yes, you have. You almost took Webb Simpson, but and I almost took Spieth, but they're under par. But your guy Schauffele is even par, and I have Justin Thomas and Morikawa. Rather, you have Morikawa at +1. I have Justin Thomas at +1. We have two guys that are kind of out of it with Cantlay and Day, and then Paul Casey's also +1. So
JC, did you get to see the opening tee shots yesterday? That's pretty cool.
No, I did hear that they brought Lee Elder up there, who was in his upper 80s.
Yeah, he wasn't able to actually swing the club, but he was there.
No, but they brought him up there.
It was very cool. Very, very cool.
That was a nice tribute to him. And then, of course, Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus. It's, I'm sure they obviously miss Arnie, but, Arnie was older than they were. But Jack and Player and Nicklaus, that's it right there at the Masters.
Some news and notes. Gator baseball is at Tennessee this weekend.
That's a huge series. Huge.
And I don't even. I mean, I know this sounds silly, but it's almost like a foregone conclusion about softball. I don't even know where they're playing this weekend.
They just
they're going to win the series.
They do. They beat everybody. I'm waiting for the eventual time they get the SEC championship at this ballpark, which I guess you said is next year. Yeah. So that would be something that I absolutely would love to watch, because the conference is really good at. But boy, Florida is just they're just mowing people. But this baseball series at Tennessee's a team that's kind of snuck up on everybody. Nobody really expected much from them, but here they are at 6th in the nation, and they've got 2 series with Florida this week, and then they have to play Vanderbilt next week. And so we're going to find out all about Tennessee in the next 2 weeks. You're going to see 2 of the the upper tier level teams in this conference coming to your town in Knoxville. So the Vols will be exposed one way or the other. But I presume if they're 6 right now with more than 20 wins, they're a very good team. And I would guess they're going to give Florida all they can handle. So it should be fun to watch. Baseball.
Yep. This day in sports brought to you by Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now until May 31st, JC, get a preventative maintenance plan for only $169 and save almost 40% off the normal cost. You also get scheduled between now and then, May 31st. You will be entered to win a Nest thermostat installation. Get on it, JC. Okay. So 2017. The Masters. You know who won the Masters in 2017?
I'm sure I would. I do, but not off the top of my head. Throw it at me there, QB.
The Spaniard, Sergio Garcia, beats Justin Rose in a sudden death playoff after they completed 72 holes at -9. Garcia's first major title in his 74th attempt.
Yeah. There are a couple of guys who have won it for the first time ever on that extra playoff hole number 10. Adam Scott would be one. Bubba Watson would be one. Larry Mize would be one. I think Nick Faldo was actually the first-time winner there in that extra hole on number 1. And I think Greg Norman was the victim both times. And then, we've got Garcia winning it. But if you get to Sunday and there's a playoff, man, that's where the entire world is watching, basically, really, because it's just so exciting for a guy who's, especially for a first-time winner, right? A first-time winner realizes that he will always be invited back, regardless of how his career ends up. He will have that elusive green jacket that only a few folks have over the decades, and not to mention he's got a major under his belt. So I love seeing first-time winners at the Masters. I really do.
Yeah, the year I was there 4 straight days for the tournament. It went into a playoff. That was the year Mike Weir won. I can't remember who he beat.
Right. But, Mike Weir really has not been in the golf, conversation here many, many years, but he's always going to be back to Augusta. He's always going to come back to Augusta at least to have that chance to compete and play. I'll tell you another lefty golfer who is really showing up here early in this season is Brian Harmon. He came in second and had a really good round a couple weeks ago, a tournament, and now here he is again, hitting the golf ball as well as most guys. I'll tell you, he's really a good iron player. He's really a good iron player, and here he is in second place at 3 under. And he has not been a name that's been in the forefront of many golf tournaments in recent memory, and already now this year he's on the leaderboard at a very high spot, and he almost won a tournament a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Georgia Bulldog. He's 5'7".
It was
5'7". He's your size, JC. 5'7", and he's 150. Although you're a little bit heavier, he's 150 pounds.
I'm 2 inches taller too, but he I'm 5'9", QB. We'll measure me next time we go to Publix. But but wasn't it TPC where he was competing to win? I thought it was TPC.
He's been in the hunt the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
but
so I remember
he's a good ball striker. He doesn't hit it very far, but he's a great short game player. We got a couple of Facebook Lives brought to you by Melnyk Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John says softball picked up some games this weekend against Western Kentucky. Okay, so I guess they have the weekend off from conference play. And then Sandy says, good morning, Gators, from glorious Tampa Bay.
Okay. Tampa Bay is glorious. We do love it down there. The Lightning, man. I know you don't talk about the Lightning, but that is a powerhouse in hockey.
Here's the thing.
A Stanley Cup champion.
Between hockey, the NHL, the NBA, and the Major League Baseball, it's hard to talk about anything until you get into postseason play.
It is. Yeah. I mean, they're very long seasons. That's true. But I think you see much less drama in hockey, and you see a lot less political upsmanship, if you will. I'm looking for the right word in hockey than you do obviously in the NBA and now in Major League Baseball. And the NFL was involved in some of that platform, let's make a statement kind of thing. In hockey, they just go out there and play. Nobody is involved in all this off the field stuff. And so somebody dropped LeBron James's name with the pressure that Rob Manfred felt to move the All-Star game out of Atlanta, along with Al Sharpton and Stacey Abrams. Well, you know who LeBron James is. Al Sharpton is a political activist and a person out in New York, and Stacey Abrams, of course, is a politician or wants to be in Georgia and has a huge amount of influence in registering people to vote or trying to get people to vote. And LeBron James, here he is getting mixed up in this, right, in Major League Baseball. So I heard that on talk radio yesterday on Sirius. So again, you don't hear of a hockey player. I don't hear of Victor Hedman or Alexander.
They're from Russia.
Right, but they live in America, right? But no, Hedman is I think he's from Finland, and Alexander, the Washington Capitals captain. Why am I drawing a blank? For God's sakes. Anyway, yeah. So you just don't hear these guys off the court. Sidney Crosby's not going to. I mean, it's just I don't know. In hockey, you don't have to worry about all of this platform using activism. You just don't. You get sports.
For all your in-depth Gator recruiting news, go to firstand10florida.com. Use promo code 2 for 2 right now and get 2 months for just $2. Firstand10florida.com, your premier Florida Gator recruiting news source. Speaking with JC on the Titan More Hotline, we'll be joined here about 10 or 15 minutes with Steve Melnyk. Won a national champion. He was part of that first ever. Yeah. The first ever national championship the University of Florida ever won. The 68, I believe.
68 team. They used to have it posted out in front of the golf course. Maybe they still do have that. But yeah, that team with Gary Koch and Cal Kvecchia. No, that was after. He was after. Anyway, yeah, Melnyk's a good Gator. He's a good Gator. A lot better than that Andy North character who played for Florida, but he's a Wisconsin Badger. Let's not
it really
that. Okay,
Andy North. He played golf here, but he roots more for Wisconsin than he does the Gators.
Oh yeah, and his dad and his parents used to live here. My father sat next to his parents at Gator basketball games, and the guy never showed up ever. Then Wisconsin comes to the O'Connell Center, and there he is sitting behind the bench in a red sweater. And, he's never talking about the University of Florida when he's out there talking golf. Former Gator. He's not a former Gator. He might have been once. He's not a Gator now. He's a former U.S. Open champion twice, and that's about all he's got. I think he's very good commentating on golf. I think obviously he knows what he's talking about, and ESPN loves him, and I think he's very good. But he's a Badger. He's not a Gator. Let's just make that clear. He is a Badger. He's a Wisconsin Badger.
Sandy says on Facebook Live, question brought to you by Mellon Law. Have you guys talked about Phillip Adams yet? Who is Phillip Adams? Is that the guy, the NFL player?
He's the fella. He's the NFL player that killed 5 folks and then himself. And I don't know what CTE is, but I have to think that is a real issue. Obviously, it was with Junior Seau, and it was with some of these other players like Mike Webster of the Steelers. It is a brain condition that it's hard, and the NFL has taken notice of this. And neurological injuries and long-term effects are, I think, quite common and will become that way, especially for the older generation players. But this guy just flipped out, man. I mean, he offed 5 people and then took his own life. That is insanity. And to me, I don't know if the guy was thinking normal. And to me, I think there is something with this CTE issue.
Well, they do. The NFL
players.
Does.
So get your head checked out.
I've had more brain scans than I can deal with anymore.
They find anything in there? Did they find?
There ain't a whole lot in there. That's what the doctor said. What's wrong with your brain? It ain't much in there.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of hot air in there. No. But I think it's very important for guys like yourself and former players. When helmet technology wasn't what it is today, and obviously it's very different, as you know, man, I think brain injuries and neurological long-term issues are very prevalent in this league. And you just hear about the tragedies, unfortunately. I don't know if this is what happened to Phillip, but Phillip lost it, and he's dead. And it's just a sickening tragedy. How
many years did he play? Do we know?
No, but we know a friend of ours who played with him. And I just think that
we lost JC there. Bad internet connection.
Are you with me? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm back. I'm back. Kenny McKinley was a former South Carolina wide receiver. Coach Spurrier was his coach, and he was a very good player, a really good player. Out of nowhere in Colorado, in his first year, with a 1-year-old child in the room, he kills himself. Or I don't know if the 1-year-old child was in the room, but he had a 1-year-old child, and he kills himself. It's so, to me, there must be some real torturous effects of whatever it is football players must go through, and it's tragic. Yeah, I just view this from the outside.
Sandy says, get your MRI scan. I've had mine done. I've had it done twice, so I'm all set there.
Titan MRI. By the way,
I wonder if Joe at Titan MRI can do the brain scans.
Well, I'm sure he can. It's Titan MRI. I talked to Joe just the other day.
I'll tell you this, JC. Getting an MRI ain't fun because you can't move.
No, I had one.
Ooh, but when you do the brain MRI, they strap your head down.
Oh boy! Well, you can't move, QB.
Oh,
you can't move.
It was miserable.
Yeah,
so miserable.
But it's better to know than not to know, right? And that's incredible technology. I had one done in my midsection, and I was in that tube, and I had to breathe, and I had some a needle in my arm so they could put dye in me to find out what was in there. And, everything came out benign and negative, but it was quite an experience going in that torpedo tube, dude. That's literally what it felt like for me. I was a chance.
Sandy says here on Meldon Law Facebook Live, she's part of the research team now. She said he played in 78 NFL games for 6 different teams.
Well, he may have I don't know what flipped him out, but that's a sad story, man. That is so tragic. It's just unbelievable, really. But, I mean, so many other lives are affected by something like that. But, I bring up a guy like Kenny McKinley. Yeah, what happened to him? He was in his 20s. He had his whole future ahead of him. He had a 1-year-old kid. Junior Seau, same thing. And they do studies of these people's anatomy, brain, and CTE is a real issue for football players, and so hopefully everything will calm down on that front, and they'll get in front of it and figure out what causes that. But it's brutal.
And he didn't know the family at all, right?
I didn't read the story.
Random people. I didn't read the story either. So anyway, we don't want to talk about all that negative stuff.
Okay, that is horrible stuff. Miserable. Yeah.
Okay, but, JC, before we let you go, obviously, this whole show is pretty much Masters talk because we got Steve Melnyk coming on soon, and there's not a whole lot going on in the sports world when the Masters is being played. When you think about it,
it takes center stage, right? Because basketball is over now, and we have baseball starting. Baseball's biggest news has come from off the field, unfortunately. They did have a full house in Texas when the Rangers opened up at Arlington. That was kind of fun to see, a real crowd at a game. But you're right. This is kind of the time now where we focus on golf for at least this weekend, and then we move on to Gator spring sports, man, because you got gymnastics coming up, you got volleyball coming up, you got baseball. Speaking of
gymnastics,
softball.
We're going to have Jenny Rowland on, I think, Monday next week, and we'll have her talk about the NCAA meet they're going to out in Texas.
Sure, yeah. So, Fort Worth, right? Isn't it out there in?
I think it's in that it's in that Dickies Arena, wherever that's located.
Okay, so it's not Fort Worth. I don't know. I thought
it's somewhere in Texas. It could be Fort Worth, but I don't know what. Okay. I just know the arena. I think it's called the Dickies Arena. Okay. Now, you got a pair of Dickies, don't you, JC?
I got some in the closet. Darn right. Got them when we had a Kmart here in town. Kmart sold it. I had a Dickies belt too.
Did you?
a Dickies belt. I bought some golf shorts at Kmart before they shut that place down that I still wear today. They're the most damn comfortable $10 shorts you've ever had. And then some guy ordered me some Under Armour golf shorts that I'm now wearing exclusively. So I could be considered an Under Armour type of representative now.
You're Jordan Spieth.
But by the way, I would like to have my orders followed up on too with my latest order if we could get to that some point.
So JC, the Kmart shorts are what brand?
It's an off-brand. It was a private label. I don't know, but man, they are comfortable. I'll show them to you next time I see you.
I'm not interested. I'm just curious.
They are so comfortable. I mean, I can't believe they haven't fallen apart. The stitches haven't come out yet, but I love those beige shorts.
All right, JC. So real quick before we let you go, let's take Justin Rose out of there. Who do you think out of the top 10, 15 players makes a move today?
Well, we talked about Hideki Matsuyama being really good here. He's so solid on this course. Nothing seems to shake him up. But you mentioned, and I agree, that Webb Simpson has really started to play really good, solid, fundamental golf and is not making a lot of the mistakes that kept him out of it. But if you want me to tell you a guy who can actually move, make a real move, shoots 5 under, 6 under, I think it's Patrick Reed, a former winner here and a guy with a short game as good as anybody's. And that's, to me, that's the whole story at Augusta.
Scott says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Bound Law, Dickies Arena is in Fort Worth.
Okay, we got that.
I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to go on a limb here, and he's one of the best ball strikers on tour, Terrell Hatton. I think he's going to make a move today.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. But watch what Reed does today and Webb Simpson. Those are the two that I would throw out there as guys who could try to make a move on Justin. Now, if Justin shoots 4 or 5 under today, it's going to be really hard. He's going to have to come back to the field on the weekend. I don't know how they're going to make him do that. Maybe they'll hide the pins. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I don't want the guy to play bad, but I want it to be an interesting Saturday and Sunday tournament.
Certainly do. I agree. Yeah.
All right, JC.
Okay. Well, have fun with Steve.
Hit them straight today, and we'll talk to you on Monday, my man.
About the tournament. You got it. See you then.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about one of our new sponsors, G-Tech Clean.
G-Tech Clean is your complete germ protection. It's EPA approved to kill COVID-19 and kills 99.9% of all germs and viruses, black mold, and also deodorizes. It's the safest, affordable way to clean and sanitize your business, no matter if it's a gym, school, retail store, or office. Use it in your home anywhere from the bathroom to the kids' room. It's formulated to provide 24/7 protection and is over 30 times more durable than any other cleaners. Try G-Tech at home as well.
G-Tech Clean keeps my pot-up studio clean of any germs and viruses. You should check it out. It's G-Tech Clean. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by Steve Melnyk, former All-American golfer here at the University of Florida.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Le Macaron, Sushi Hana, Bass Pro Shop, and coming soon, June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to be joined by former Gator Hall of Famer Steve Melnyk. Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Shane, it's a pleasure to join you. I recognize that building in the background there.
Yes, indeed. It's Masters Week. It's my favorite week of the year. Did you know that? I'm sure you knew this. The head ball coach is opening up a restaurant.
I do. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and I was asking him about it. I can't wait to see him. I only want him to be the host and the sort of the glad hander there at the restaurant. People come in every night.
Yeah, I think he's been very involved. It's phenomenal. It's basically a museum of ore, as y'all call him. It's crazy. But Steve, let's talk about, you grew up in Brunswick, Georgia, youngster, really good golfer, won the amateur there in the state of Georgia. What made you decide and want to be a Florida Gator and play for Buster Bishop?
Interestingly, Shane, I was always going to go to Georgia Tech, and I was going through their co-op program. I didn't have an athletics scholarship until the last minute. The golf coach said, I'll give you a partial, and then he pulled it. And there was a player at Florida from Athens, Georgia, named Eddie Horde, and he's recommended me to Buster Bishop, our golf coach. I borrowed my dad's car, drove down to Gainesville, played a practice round, drove back to Brunswick. I said, well, that was fine. I'll end up going to Georgia Tech. Last minute, Buster Bishop drove back up to Brunswick to offer me a scholarship, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize, I want to say it was in 1968, y'all's golf team was the first ever athletic group to win a national championship at the University of Florida. Just talk about that special year in 1968.
Well, there's a wonderful sidebar to that story, and I say it, I'll share with you most affectionately. We went to Las Cruces to Mexico, which was a godforsaken place to begin with. The weather was horrible. It was hot and windy, and there was a desert golf course. But we won. So we got all excited. We come back to the hotel room, and Buster Bishop got on the phone. He said, I'm going to call Ray Graves, who was in not only the football coach, Shane, but the athletic director. So Buster got Ray on the phone, and Buster goes, Ray, we won. And there was this long silence, and Ray goes, you won what? So golf wasn't very important back then, but we thought it was pretty special.
Well, absolutely it was. So just talk about, usually 5 guys play on the team. Talk about some of your teammates that were on that national championship team.
Well, we had all of us came into school together as a class. It was amazing. Buster did an unbelievable job. And we came from such different parts of the country. We had John Sale, who came in from Maine. We had Richard Spears, who came in from New York. John Darr from Fort Lauderdale. Wendell Coffey from Atlanta, and me from Brunswick. And we were just a phenomenal group. Back then, freshmen couldn't play varsity sports. I think if we had played the year before or when we were freshmen, we would have finished in the top 5. I mean, we were that good. And interestingly, though, no one really sort of took that launch as a championship win and went on to play professionally. But we've all remained good friends. John Darr and I, John there in Gainesville, John and I play a lot of 4-balls together, and it's a whole lot of fun. The reason we're so successful, we don't care what the other one shoots. We just want to have a good time, and we've been very successful doing it. So it's been fun.
Yes, indeed. So you were here when Coach Spurrier was an athlete as well. I know y'all are very close. Got any good stories? Because I know he was a lot like me. When football season wasn't in, I was always out at the golf course playing with DeMarco and Dudley Hart and that crew. I know Coach was a good player back in those days. You got any good golf stories for us?
Well, let me back up a little. We actually walked into the ATO house together doing a rush party, and we were in the same pledge class at the ATO house. And we had the same big sister. ATO little sisters had little brothers. Well, our big sister was this really cute girl from Fort Lauderdale named Jerry Starr. Okay, you know the rest of that story. But Steve was a phenomenal athlete, as you know. He's an all-state athlete in 3 sports. He had great hand-eye coordination. I almost hate to say that, but he's as good hand-eye coordination guy I've ever seen in my life. He took up the game. He made it look easy. He loved to compete, as you know, and he would come up to Brunswick every summer where I was from and play in a tournament called the Golden Isles, and was very competitive. And then a couple of years after I left and went out on the tour, he came back and got beat in a playoff by Andy Bean in this tournament. And it was a stroke play tournament, 54 holes. I think he shot 4 under par, but so he could hold his own there for the longest time.
Wow, that's a great story, no question about it. All right, so you leave the University of Florida. Well, you won the British Am, the U.S. Am, decided to turn pro, and we all know how difficult it is to play out on that tour. Was it a shock to you once you took that step as a professional golfer?
Interestingly, I turned pro by default. After I graduated from Florida, I went to work for an insurance company in Jacksonville for 2 years. I didn't like it. Then I won the British Amateur, and I thought stupidly, well, there's nothing else to win in amateur golf, and I turned pro, as I said, by default. Actually, the best thing that happened to me, ironically, is when I broke my elbow, and that launched a long golf career. A broadcast career in golf, 26 years. So now I've got my amateur status back. I've come full circle. I get to go to the Masters every year as an honorary invitee, which is the greatest gig in the world, by the way. And, life comes at you in strange ways, and it worked out fine for me.
Yeah. I got to ask you, with the technology they have out there on tour right now, what brand of clubs did Steve Melnyk play back in the day?
I'm going to date myself. I played Spalding, which no longer exists. And they had the Spalding dot ball, which was so bad, but I had signed a contract with Spalding, Shane. And if I'd used a Titleist ball instead of a Spalding ball, who knows what might have happened. But, that's all I knew at the time. That's
great. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're speaking with Hall of Famer at the University of Florida, Steve Melnyk, here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Let me ask you this. I think you were really involved in the course change there at the university golf course when they did it, which I think is phenomenal now. I try to tell people the course I grew up when I was in school, it was okay. It was never in great shape. It was an okay layout, but now I think it's phenomenal. What all did you how did you get involved in helping with the course layout?
Well, there were a number of former Gator golfers that wanted to be considered to renovate or redesign the golf course. And I had a lot of experience with a young architect at the time named Bobby Weed. And I said, it's one thing to build a new course. It's another thing to renovate a new course. And Bobby had worked with Pete Dye for the longest time. And I really forced the issue with Bobby, because there were some that we were considering that could not have delivered the product that we got. So to your point, he did a fabulous job. We're land constrained. We have less than 100 acres there. And he reconfigured the golf course, rerouted it, and we created a practice area, which we didn't have before. And the bottom line, it's one of the neatest on-campus college courses in the country.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I really like the changes. It's extremely challenging now. Steve, as you mentioned, I think you were pretty involved with the practice facility that the Gator golfers have now. I'm a huge facility guy. I've been preaching for years that we are behind the times when it comes to football facility. Obviously, we're building one right now. But when you look at the golf program, you guys didn't, when you were there, you really didn't have a practice facility. How important was it for them to get that facility?
Well, it was enormously important. And when we rerouted the golf course, we left room for that practice area as you know it today. And Debbie and I were fortunate enough to give some money to make it possible to build that first practice facility back there. But the funny story was, Shane, when we built it, we put a restroom in back there because you needed one. Well, that was the greatest thing in the world for the girl golfers, female golfers. Jeannie Choi came up to me one time, I'll never forget. She goes, "I can't thank you so much for what you did." I said, "I'm happy to see." "No, you don't understand. If we had to go to the bathroom, we had to walk all the way back up to the clubhouse to do that."
That's
so
true.
It turned out pretty well for everybody, but we're happy.
Yeah. So in all your years of playing golf professionally and as an amateur, where's your favorite golf course? What's the favorite one to play?
Right over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Augusta is the best. I was so fortunate that my first Masters, I got paired in the first round with Jack Nicklaus. I'd never met him.
Wow.
And we had a great day together. And then the following year, I come back again as an amateur. I got paired with Arnold Palmer and then played for the Masters and broadcast 10. So there's no tournament, Shane, anywhere in the world, maybe no sporting event that has as impactful as Augusta National is. And now it's even more special with Fred Ridley, a Florida Gator, being the chairman of Augusta National. And I can't wait to go over there. We're going over Wednesday just for a couple of days this year. We normally go for about 5 days, but there's no amateur dinner tonight. There's no par 3 on Wednesday. So it's a limited attendance Masters, but we're glad to be going anyway.
So they're not having the par 3 tournament?
Nope.
Oh, you won that.
I did. Yeah. I did. I won it in 1972, but no par 3 this year.
I did not realize that. So when's the last time you played Augusta National?
Honorary invitees can play practice rounds. And the last time I played was a couple of years ago. I played with Jerry Pate and Benny Giles. We played the back nine together. That same year, I played in the par 3 with Benny and Ben Crenshaw. And you get a kick out of this. Crenshaw made a hole one on a par 3 course, and he just broke down. I said, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Believe it or not, that's the first hole one he had ever made in any competition." And he made
At what age?
At age like 60 something.
Wow.
Yeah, can you believe that? As good as he was in all the events he won, he'd never made a hole in one.
That's unbelievable. So you said you played it a couple of years ago. At your age, did they still do you still have to walk the golf course? We had
to walk the golf course and play the championship tees. It was pretty long.
Because that's what people don't realize. I've been there. I went, it was probably like 2002, 2003, and I went for all 4 days of the tournament round. And I went with like 4 other players with the Chicago Bears. We had a guy who was from the Augusta area that his grandfather got tickets. So we rented the house about 25 miles outside of Augusta, and it was a great weekend. But I cannot tell you, we had to take some pain pills walking that golf course.
It is a very difficult golf course to walk unless you've done it before. I mean, you can't believe the steep topo. Once you walk out the back of the clubhouse and look down the hill, it's easy going back down to Amen Corner. It's another thing to slog back up that hill.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Speaking with Steve Melnyk, a few more minutes with him right here on the Titan Moore Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. All right, so when you talk about your broadcasting career, you did it for a long time for CBS and ABC. Is there one tournament, one shot, anything like that stands out in your mind?
Well, I have to go back to the 1986 Masters, the year that Nicklaus won. I always covered the 11th and 12th holes at Amen Corner. And Shane, what was interesting about that tournament is that Nicklaus basically orchestrated the production of a golf tournament for 2 hours as we watched every single shot he played. And it's like the players knew what was going on with him, and they were watching scoreboards as well. But it was still the most incredible sporting event I've ever been involved in when a 46-year-old guy with his son on the bag wins the Masters for the 6th time.
Yeah. And speaking of that, when you think of the greatest golfer of all time, Steve Melnyk, is it Jack Nicklaus to you or Tiger Woods?
Nicklaus. Nicklaus, and Nicklaus. Okay.
When you look at all these young guns, is that what I like to call them nowadays? It's phenomenal. I know the technology, the ball, the shafts, all that stuff. But do you think golf is in good hands right now with all the great young players? Are they hitting it so far because of technology, because they're in good shape? What is it when you think of how they're playing these days?
I would say all of the above. The players today that learn the game learn it differently than I did, and say Nicklaus or whatever. They learn to hit it a long way early, so they develop speed early. They have golf-specific programs and regimens that allow them to swing the club fast. It's no different than a baseball pitcher who's got great arm speed. You got club head speed, you got arm speed, and that generates distance and speed on the other end. But these kids today, you look at Justin Thomas and you look at Rahm and DJ and Koepka. I mean, the game's in great shape, Shane. If somebody asked me who I would pick to win this week, I honestly don't know. I do think that the longest and straightest driver has a huge advantage at Augusta, but there's so many that fit that category. It's not like, say, when I played, there were a handful of guys that were long. Now there's a lot of guys that are long, and it's hard to pick among them.
I've always wondered why at Augusta National, because like you said, I love the layout of the course. The par fives are exciting because they can reach them, but they've never really grown rough, like U.S. Open type rough up there. Is there a reason why?
I think their approach is that the difficulty at Augusta is around the greens. Greens complexes are extremely hard. So it's a reasonably wide golf course, although in the last 15 years they've added a lot of trees in the rough and areas where they didn't have them when I played. But it's not a penal course by nature. It's just a very hard golf course. You can make a lot of bogeys at Augusta and play pretty well, and I think they're happy with that setup.
When you look back at your career, you both won the U.S. Open and the British Open, British Amateur, I should say. Talk a little bit about what it meant for you to win the British Amateur and how different playing golf over there is compared to playing in the U.S.
When you play in the U.K. and in a British Amateur, the ground comes into play. And yardage means very little over there. Shane, if you're down breeze on a hole where the green and the fairway kind of are one, then you land the ball 20 or 25 yards short of a green and let it bounce and roll in. And that's foreign to a lot of our guys who go over there for the first time. So the wind and the ground really dictate how you play those courses over there.
Yeah. So when's the last time you played with Coach Spurrier?
Gosh, it's been a few years. We talked about that a few weeks ago. He called me on my birthday, and I want to get him up to Brunswick Country Club, which is where that tournament was held, where he played so well. So we're working on getting together next month.
Yeah. How many shots you think you got to give him? Bunch. A bunch.
He says he's having some issues with his hands and his back. Yeah. And so out of respect to that, I'm not sure. We'll play and have a beer afterwards. How's that?
Yeah, that's right. So you don't have a prediction of who you think is going to win the Masters this
If I had to pick right now, I'd either be DJ or Justin Thomas. Probably would be my two picks. And it's great to see Jordan Spieth win yesterday. He's a wonderful addition to the tournament. So I think it's wide open. I really do. And I think we'll have decent weather. There's a chance of rain this weekend, but I watched the ladies tournament over the weekend and the drive, chip, and putt. The golf course is in perfect shape. So we'll all be glued to our sets Thursday through Sunday.
Has that golf course never been in great shape?
No. Now, when I played, the greens weren't as fast as they are now. They were Bermuda greens overseeded with rye. Now they are bent grass greens, and they can be scary fast.
Yeah. Last thing I want to ask you, Billy Horschel,
Big Gator, won the match play a couple
really
weeks ago. He's a bulldog, man. He just grinds and grinds and grinds. Talk real briefly the difference in, how I guess the mindset of a PGA Tour player from stroke play to match play. What's the difference in the mindset?
Match play, I have described as an 18 one-hole matches. It's not an 18-hole match, it's 18 one-hole matches. And so Billy was good because Billy just kept, to your point, he was a grinder, and he never put himself out of the hole. It's amazing how many times par will win a hole in match play. And I think that's what Billy did. Billy didn't put himself in bad situations. Now, in match play, too, you could say, well, I shot 1 over par and won my match 2-1. Another guy shot 400 and lost 2-1. That's the fickle nature of match play. But to Billy's credit, I think his mindset was perfect for winning that tournament out there in Austin.
Yeah, I text Billy after he won, and I told him, I said, you've hit one of the worst shots I've ever seen a PGA Tour player ever hit. Do you remember that shot he hit?
Yeah, I did.
It was like a low duck hook that never got off the ground. It was unbelievable. Last thing for you, Steve, what did it mean to you when you got inducted to the University of Florida Hall of Fame?
Well, Shane, as I said to you, Florida reached out to me when I was a senior in high school when no one else did, and I am forever in the University of Florida's debt. And that's why I've always felt an obligation to give back and be involved. And, I was fortunate enough to be Gator Booster president and then roll off that to be on the athletic board for nearly 10 years. So I can't do enough and say enough good things about the University of Florida.
Well, we appreciate you joining our program today. One of the greatest golfers at the University of Florida, Steve Melnyk. Steve, thanks, man. Be safe. Enjoy Augusta.
Shane, you're the best. Call me anytime.
Yes, sir. Steve Melnyk, join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Going to take our final time out and wrap up this Friday edition.
Hey, Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Hot Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you. Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Also, Steve Melnyk, UF Hall of Fame golfer. I hope you enjoyed that. We got a couple Facebook Lives brought to you by Meldon Law. Mary says, Shane, I am beginning to appreciate golf. I could never master it. Well, none of us can master it, Mary. It's an extremely difficult sport, but it's a sport that you can play no matter what your age is. Go out and enjoy it. So hope we've got you to like the sport. It's, in my opinion, the greatest sport out there because you have no judges. You have no referees. You have none of that. You have rules you play by. Rick says, I tried golf. I was dangerous and in a good way. Folks, make sure you follow us and like us on all the YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the good different ways you can watch our program. Today's show's a wrap. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week.